Hey fam, so ignore the crazy chaos, but I wanted to take you guys along with me while we move because I'm moving all my plants. I'm just interested to see how it goes. I should have recorded us actually getting the plants in the car, but I don't know if you could see. This is my Millsbo cabinet, and then we have just a ton of plants back there. I don't think there's any. Yeah, no, it's all my work stuff. So yeah, all the plants are back there. Luckily, I don't have a ton of plants, so had I had my collection like I had back in the day, it would have been an absolute nightmare. So luckily it's not that bad, but we'll see what survives. The Palletiflorum's already been ripped to shreds, but it was ripped before we even started packing, so it is what it is. It'll grow back. My gorgeous, amazing, wonderful, frustrating, incredible husband and my sister-in-law helped lift this in here. I packed up all the plants and he kind of organized them in there all nicely. So fingers crossed everybody survives. But the good thing is they're plants. They will regrow. Hopefully, we'll see. They're gonna have to be moved again because I don't know if y'all know, but we're moving into my grandmother's house. My grandfather passed away a few days before Christmas, and it was kind of always the plan to keep the house in the family because it was like the house that I kind of grew up in. I was there every weekend and it just means a lot to me. And so I knew that no matter what, I always wanted to keep the house. Now that my grandma's getting older and she has her own health issues and now that she's alone and stuff, she was just kind of like, you guys should just move in early. So we spent a few months kind of like mulling it over and making sure that everybody was comfortable with it and like how we'd make it work and stuff. And so now it's finally moving day, and because my grandma is there, I do want to be respectful of her space, but she has given me free reign on pretty much the whole house. So technically I can put plants anywhere in the house, but I do, like I say, I do want to be respectful of, like, I'm not going to go crazy the way I would if it was just my house. But the basement used to flood pretty bad when it would rain. So we want to get the basement treated, just make sure there's no like mold or mildew or anything. Once we fixed the drainage issue, we just want to make sure that everything is like kosher and there's no mold or mildew or anything residual from all of the pooling water. And my husband and I are going to turn the basement into the master bedroom. So before we move our stuff down there, we're going to have everything just like tested. If it needs to be treated, it'll be treated. So we don't want to move things down there until all of that is done. So we're going to move the plants to the main floor. And then once everything is copacetic, then we'll have to move the plants again downstairs, which won't be as big of a move, obviously, but they're just going to go through a lot of shock. So my plants are probably going to look like trash the next few months, but it's all good. Excuse my face and my hair and everything. Are my pits sweaty? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, massive shout out to my sister-in-law and my husband for going through the chaos, and we're about to hit the road. Wish us luck. Hey y'all, so we are here finally. It's been a few days. Sorry if you hear the dog running around upstairs. It's hardwood floors and it's empty down here, so all of the noises are echoing. But I wanted to show you guys how the plants are doing. Originally the plants were in my Millsbo cabinet upstairs in a window. I don't know the direction, but the sun, sets in the west, so maybe it's a west facing window. I don't know. But for some reason it was like really cold in that room, especially at night. So we set up a tent down here in the basement and moved everything into the tent. And so far things are looking really good. I haven't been in here since yesterday, but everything was looking really good yesterday. Like I said, it's been a few days, and I didn't record us physically moving the plants in because by the time we got here, it was dark and we kind of just wanted to get it done and over with. And it's been chaotic. We still have a lot of work to do. But yeah, I quickly wanted to show you guys how things are going about 5 days after, I want to say. Time is like in my head, but I'm pretty sure it's been about 5 days. So let's take a look. First thing, where is it? Is my Palletiflorum and the cutting. This is so backwards. The cutting of my Monstera cutting. The Monstera has actually been doing really, really good. So I'm gonna flip you around real quick. This Monstera actually, you'll see it in, I wanna say it's like either my first video You probably see it in that one, or the second video where I was doing the import updates. You'll probably see it in that one too. This was that huge large form monstera that I used to have. The problem with it was that because it was so big, I couldn't get it anywhere where it would get adequate light. And then I was trying to finagle a grow light, but it was in a weird space. I couldn't move the plant anywhere else because it was so big. And it just got to the point where the leaves started yellowing really, really badly. And it was just an all-out mess. So then I kind of chopped it up, separated it into different plants to try to help it like get happy again, and it didn't like that. So I think it was like 3 plants that we broke it up into. One went outside and died as soon as the temperatures dropped to like 40. And then the other 2 in the house slowly but surely started yellowing off and dying. I started doing some research and found a really informative channel that kind of, I don't want to say they only talk about monsteras, but they specifically like discuss monstera care. And I really like the things that they suggest and say. So I'll link that channel down below. But they suggested having like 2 plants at most in a pot, kind of starting them over and have them facing the right way. You can kind of control how they grow when you start smaller and kind of like train it to face which direction you want it to face. So I took 2 cuttings of what was left of the very last plant, and then I just disposed of the rest. It was just a rotted mess. So these are the 2 cuttings that we were left with. I'm trying to get them nice and rooted so that I can kind of take the advice of the YouTube channel that I had seen a whole bunch of information on. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but like I said, it will be down below. So I am optimistic. I think it'll come back bigger and badder than ever and less cluttered because they had like 3 or 4 large plants in one bucket, and it was just a lot. They were growing in all different directions. You couldn't control it. You couldn't give it adequate light. It was just a lot. But you could tell when you have the large form by the petiole. This one is kind of less mature, so you can't really tell, but it'll have ripples by this petiole. And monsteras are one of my favorite. Just the original green form monstera is one of my favorite plants. We ended up naming it Lizzo, and it became like a staple in the house. So I wanted to make sure that I saved a piece of Lizzo. So this is the last of Lizzo. She's big and beautiful. Let's just pray that she survives. But I always want a monstera in the house, just a true green form. I love the large form, how the leaves get when they mature. So it's one of my favorite forms. So I definitely want to make sure I saved it. And I think we're doing good. This leaf was new when I cut it, and then it kind of like stunted, obviously, because I cut it as it was trying to unfurl, but now it's actually unfurling, which is good to see. And then we have a new growth coming out of the stem, which is amazing. We have incredible water roots right now. I don't know if you can see them, and I don't want to break it, but yeah, we've got some really great root growth. This is one of those plants I'm not sure if I want to keep it in like leca or water, or if I want to eventually put it in soil. I think one of the issues I have is that once it gets into soil, I can't really figure out what's going on with the roots. And when it gets really, really big, it's hard to gauge like water. So I don't know. I might just keep this in like leca or something, but we'll see. But it's doing pretty good. We're going to check out what's in the tent. I literally put everything in the tent just to be safe because, like I said, it was getting super duper cold upstairs. So I figured having the lights on up here will keep it warm, and then having the humidity will probably help it acclimate well and kind of recover from some of the cold that they might have felt. So everything right now is in the tent, and so far the last few days things have been like really, really popping off. This is basically my entire collection. Not even basically. This is my entire collection so far. But I do have a huge import order coming. And when I say huge, I mean huge. So I am going to have to like get these to acclimate to regular humidity and temperatures, hopefully. Or at least being out of the tent. I might put a humidifier up or a heater up if we need to, whatever. But I am going to need this tent and my other tent for the imports that I have coming. So I'm going to let them hang out in here for as long as I can, but probably in a few weeks, they're going to have to start acclimating to out of tent environment. So let's hope they don't go through a whole nother level of shock, which they probably will, but we'll see. Anyway, so the Micans is doing good. It's kind of popping new growth and doesn't seem to be like browning or dying off, so that's good. This is kind of my last ditch effort with this Albo. It definitely did not like the... You're dripping water. Definitely did not like the LECA, and I think it's because, like I said before, it was my first time using LECA and I didn't soak it. So I think it was kind of drying out. But I caught it in time. The root was pretty dry and I think it's kind of pissed off at me. So really the only thing that I could think of was throwing it in water. I did chop it and let it callus, but it still looks like it's wanting to rot. So I don't really know what to do with this, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of expecting this to die. I'm just going to kind of ride it out until it's officially dead, because who knows? I don't know. This upper little like growth section doesn't really look mature enough to push root. Like I see that little bud of an aerial root right there, but I don't know if it would be activated if I was to cut it and try to root it there. There's a growth point right here, but it's like only on the white part, so I don't really feel confident that if that was to sprout, it would be a healthy plant. But we might play around with it. I don't know. The other section of the plant that I stuck in, I think I stuck it in moss, and it rotted and died. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it's just not in the cards for me to have an Albo. It's a beautiful, beautiful Albo. And I paid way too much for it, because when I bought it at the kind of mid of last year, they were still fairly expensive. I paid like $225 for a 1-leaf top cutting. And now I feel like Albos are just like crazy cheap. So I don't know. I'm trying to keep it alive more so because I paid money for it and I would like to see it survive. But I'm kind of at the point now where like I'm at peace with the fact that it might die. We'll see what happens. The Alocasia, what is this? Is this the... I can't think of the friggin' name. Help. What the heck is your name? I genuinely can't even think of its name. But yeah, this guy, he's doing good. This is the newest leaf. It is pretty big. This guy likes to give me little random splotches of variegation. Like if you could see here, there's a little bit down here. And then on this leaf, it's got that part down there. Like it likes to just spit random blobs of variegation just to keep things interesting. So, but the new leaf wasn't affected at all by the move. It's doing good and it's just like getting bigger and bigger. It's not completely hardened off yet. So yeah, it's doing good. This is like my random pot of, okay, sir. This is like my random pot of Hoya. These were some cuttings that were given to me by some really good planty friends of mine. They are super into Hoya and I'm just not. And so they sent me a bunch of cuttings, I guess, to maybe try to get me to fall in love. I don't know. Did it work? To be determined. But some of the cuttings died and these were the survivors and I literally did not know what to do with them. So I just threw them all in one pot just to see what would happen. And they've been just doing their thing. So I don't even know what kind these are. I'm pretty sure this is like a Polynera, maybe? Is that what it's called? I don't know. It's my favorite one though, I will say. And then we have this guy. I don't really know what it is. Okay, this freaking... You just keep wanting to steal the show. Move over. There's a guy hiding back here under it all. I don't know what it is, but there you go. It's just a mixed pot of Hoya back there, and it seems to be doing really well. These two leaves were itty bitty when we first got here, and they, you know, grew nice and mature and pretty. So I don't think it's been affected by the move, which is nice. What little babies do we have in here? So these are just corms that I have from that guy. Was it that guy? No. These corms are from the Quilted Dreams, this guy. When I repotted it, I ended up with 3 corms, and so I just threw them in here. It looks like they're starting to kind of sprout, so I'm gonna have to open this up here soon, but they're doing good. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them once they sprout, because I don't necessarily need 4 Quilted Dreams. This one bloomed 3 times. I don't know if you could see it. There was one here, one here, one there. And I cut it before the move because I wanted the plant to focus on like just staying alive, not blooming. So we finally have a new growth coming in. This one I bought like this, and I didn't know if it was fungal or not, to be honest, but I kind of felt like if it was fungal, it wouldn't just be on the outsides of the plant. Maybe I'm ignorant to like fungal issues, but I did spray it down with a fungicide. I treated it with a systemic. The new leaf doesn't have the yellowing on it, which is what makes me think like maybe it's not fungal. Maybe it just wasn't happy, but I don't know. So worst case scenario, if this dies, we have babies in here. So it'll be fine either way. It is pushing some new growth down here. So I'm excited to see the new leaves. This is one that eventually I might just cut these 3 leaves off of and let it kind of start over. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. This is the Hoya that we bought together at the plant nursery. I went ahead and just put both of the plants in one pot, and it's doing pretty good. It's already pushing some new growth, which is really cool. See? So that's nice to see. Hiding back here, if I could get it, we have my Glorious. This poor guy's been through so much. The roots are looking really, really good. This is one that I got as a itty bitty little baby. I'll try to find a picture and put it up on the screen. And it started growing really nicely, but then I kind of went through a phase where I was not taking care of my plants and it dried out really bad, and then I couldn't get it to be happy after that. So I took the top cutting of it, stuck it in some fluval stratum, whatever. And it looks like it's trying to recover itself. It does have a little aerial root trying to grow there. So I am going to stick it on a moss pole here soon just to kind of really get it going. But it seems like it's been doing really good. It's trying to push a new leaf, which we love. So he's a happy guy again. I have a ton of little Mexicanum babies in here. Like here's one of them. And let's see, where are the others? There's another one back here in this blue thing. I want to say there's some more in here, but I can't place it right now. Oh, there it is. There's one back here. And they all came off of this plant. My husband actually found this at a nursery that we went to. He's not a plant person, but he's super supportive of my plants. And sometimes when he finds ones that he really likes, he'll like kind of point it out and be like, that one's really cool. And that's kind of what happened when we went to the nursery. He was like, this plant looks really cool. And I think we only paid like $18 or something for this Mexicanum, which these used to be pretty expensive if I remember correctly. And if you see stuff on it, I've sprayed this with like fungicide and pesticide, and it's got all kinds of stuff on it. So anyway, but yeah, it was this big plant, and then all those little babies were in the pot with it. So for $17, we got like 4 or 5 Mexicanum plants, which I thought was really cool. I love the Mexicanum, but I was thinking this would take a hit because 2 or 3 days before we move, we buy it, I repot it, I separate all the babies from it, and then we move. So I kind of thought this would take a hit, but it's really doing great things. This is the newest leaf. It did get kind of snapped in the move, but cute little ears on it. I mean, it's still maturing and doing well, and it's already trying to push a new leaf, and we've got some really great aerial roots growing down here. So I'm going to stick this on a pole here soon as well. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all these Mexicanum babies, but we got a lot brewing in here. This Frydek is the little baby that I took off of the big mother plant, stuck it in some fluval stratum. What the hell is it? It did kind of fall out of its substrate, so the roots are kind of buried now, but it did have some really nice roots before it fell out. And it looks like it's working on a new leaf, which is nice. So I think this guy is going to be okay. He's just so cute. This is the little tissue culture giganteum that we unboxed and potted up together. Some of the original leaves did fall off, but this thing has been pushing leaves ever since. I mean, it's doing so good. So this one and this one were original leaves, and then it pushed this one, and then it pushed this one, and now it's pushing, no wait, I think it was this one and then this one. whatever. It pushed these two out and now it's trying to push another out. It's doing so good. Right down in here, it started pushing out a really nice aerial root. That's why I have the moss up so high. So it's doing really, really fantastic. I'm so proud of this little guy, and it's just beautiful. I mean, oh, the variegation is just delicious. I don't think I showed y'all this, but there was like an itty bitty plant that was attached to that giganteum, and I wasn't sure if it would like turn into anything, but I threw it in stratum just to see, and lo and frickin' behold, it's turning into a whole plant. Oh my God, there's a fungus gnat. I'm gonna have to throw something in here for that. Okay, anyways, I don't know if you could see it. That little green dot is a seed. It's an Anthurium hybrid that I bought literally like the day before I moved. It might have been the actual day that we moved. I don't know. I got it super last minute from the local Facebook group where I used to live. This is supposed to be like a super dope hybrid. I can't remember what it is now, but I remember it being dark and delicious. And y'all know I like me some dark, delicious leaves. So I'll put the name of it up here, and if I could find the pictures, I'll do that as well. But I am so excited. I wanted to dabble with trying to root seeds because I would like to hybridize my own anthuriums once, you know, the opportunity arises. So I was already kind of looking for seeds to kind of play around with and figure out if I could root them. And so when I saw this, I was like, heck yeah. So I'm excited. I hope this does well. The last time I opened it, it did look like it was getting kind of fuzzy and opening up. So I think it's like actually doing its thing, y'all. I think it's actually doing its thing. So excited about it. Speaking of Anthurium babies, this is another one that I got from my local Facebook group at the old house. And this is called the Complex Mag. Now, from what I understand, I think it's like where the Magnificum was kind of open pollinated or something. It just gets to a point where they don't know the lineage of the plant, so they just call it a Complex Mag. I could be wrong. But the way that the person described it to me made sense in my head. It's just, you know, sometimes things in my head stop making sense. So, and apparently it has wavy leaves, which I think would be amazing. A Magnificum with wavy leaves. Are you kidding me? So I'm really excited about this. And since getting here, this actually was not here when we moved. So just within the last few days, it's popped out a little baby. It's so cute. I can't wait to see what that looks like. It looks like it might be veiny. I can't really tell. Y'all can't even see. My bad. But yeah, excited about that. It's doing really well. There's the Campo. Now, this one, I feel like it's kind of going through an adjustment, not from the move, but from me cutting it. Because I think I told y'all, once I got a mature leaf like this with the little ears, I chopped it from its original plant and stuck it by itself to root, kind of do its own thing. So this leaf is, as you could tell, significantly smaller. It took a long time to unfurl. It kind of went through it a little bit, and it is a little less mature, obviously, than that leaf, but I don't think that's from the move. I think that's from me chopping it. But if I can get my hand in here, this little section has amazing roots in there. Like, it's doing really, really well. I kind of checked on it the other day, and it's like all up in there. So I think this next leaf that's coming is going to be a happy guy, and I think it's taken off pretty well. I think it might just take a little bit of time to get back to this like beautiful dark lobe situation, but that's okay. This is a mystery philodendron that I got from oh, this is wet. Nice. Now my pants are wet. I got it from the same person that I got that Complex Mag from. She was not sure what exactly it was, but I thought it was so cute. I love the little rippling. She said it could be a Chironia or a Tenue. I can't remember what the options were, but either way, I thought it was just super, super cute. I think it's doing good because it is pushing new growth, so I think we're all right. And then we have this Alocasia. I can't remember what this is called, honestly, but this is doing good. It's pushing new growth everywhere, so I think it's happy. The Peru is doing good. It's still pushing out new leaves, but it is showing some distress. Like, I think this is the only one that's really showing signs of distress, is just some yellowing. But otherwise, still pushing new growth. So my pride and joy, my McDowell, This was the leaf that it was pushing out before we moved, and it's kind of hardening off and doing its thing, and it looks good. There is a couple, you could see some damage on it just from, I think it just probably got pinched in between things or something. I'm not sure, but otherwise it's doing really good. It's hardening off well, and look. This had just unfurled right before we moved, so we didn't have a new growth point on this that I could see at least when we moved. So this popped within the last 5 days or so, and it's already trying to come out of the cataphyll, so that's pretty cool. It's like just taking the freak off. Probably gonna have to find it a new pot here soon, but if y'all have seen my other videos, you know the McDowell is my pride and joy. It's one of my absolute favorite plants ever. So I'm so happy that this guy is doing good. Just look how beautiful. Even this immature leaf is just like, oh, love. Back here, this is another Anthurium like hybrid. I can't remember. I think it's a Forgetii and red crystal, if I remember correctly. This kind of went through it because I went through like a not watering much kind of phase. So it was popping leaves like super often, and then it kind of just stopped. Like this was the last really nice big leaf that it had pushed, and then it went through the unwatering phase. As you could tell, it started like yellowing and stuff. It was kind of pissed off at me, which I understand, and then it pushed a new leaf, but obviously as you could tell, it's not as mature, it's not as big, because this was growing during my hey, let's not water our plants phase. So it hasn't pushed any new growth for me since then. I do see a little, I don't know if you can tell, I do see a little bit of like a something on that leaf. Looks like maybe it wants to kind of start pushing new growth again, but I don't know, we'll see. I hope so, because I feel like this is going to be so pretty when it gets nice and big and mature, but it's not dead yet, so that's a plus. I got a pink princess from a nursery right before we moved as well. It's hiding back there. I don't want to pull it out, but it's pushing a ton of new growth, and it seems like it's happy, so we're good. The Decursiva is another one that we got at the nursery together. It's doing really well. That new leaf that it was pushing kind of got a little funky, but it unfurled nicely. And then it is pushing tons of new growth, so I think it's nice and adhered to the pole on its own. I think the roots have already kind of started to really grab on, which is nice. But we have new growth here. We have new growth down here. And I think, yeah, we have another new growth down here. So this one's doing really well. It's super happy. I thought I saw some yellowing earlier, maybe? Oh, yeah, like this leaf. But I honestly don't know if it was like that when I bought it or not. But seems super happy. My delicious Columbia, I think now they're calling this the El Guapo, but this one was a little bit pissed off because I had a light right above it, and these do not like direct light. And as you could tell, see how one side is kind of bleached and the other isn't? This leaf was kind of curled into the wall like this. That's how you know it was being bleached by the light, because it was only that half that was getting light that's yellowing. So I turned this light off, and I figured this light with all of this reflective material will be enough to cover everything, but not bleach my leaves. So I think it's happier now. This is the new leaf that unfurled just before we moved, and it's still hardening off, but it's looking delicious. I mean, this thing is huge, and it's looking really nice. It is attaching to this pole really well. Also, like, I saw some really great roots. I can't get back there, but I saw some really great roots growing into the pole, so that's great. This is my daughter's. I honestly don't know what this is, but it's doing well. The El Choco Red is doing super well. This was the newest leaf that had popped out just a couple weeks before we moved, and just within the last 5 days it started pushing out this new growth, and it's pushing out some nice aerial roots, so I think this one's doing really well too. I think I'm gonna have to get that on a pole. They're climbers, right? Are they climbers or crawlers? I think they're climbers. I don't know. We'll get that sorted soon, but it's doing well. The little baby Gloriosum. This was a new leaf that it had popped out, and then it popped out this little one like randomly right before we moved. But now, as you can see, it's trying to pop out another one right down here. So I think this one is happy as well. There is a little bit of some yellowing on that, and I hope that's not fungal, because that would suck. Anywho, we're gonna have happy thoughts. So I think we're doing good. All right, and last but not least, this is the Goldii, and I can't think of what the hybrid was, but y'all have seen this. I got this in that nursery haul as well. This is the one that had thrips on it, but luckily I have not seen a thrip on it since unpotting it, washing it, treating it, potting it back up with systemic and spraying it down with dead bug and quarantining it. I have not seen anything since, so I think we're good, but this is doing well. No new growth yet, but it's not dying, so everything is doing really well, y'all. I think we're good to go. So that was the update on the plants after the move. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that everything stays happy and healthy, but so far so good. The move wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, that's it. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.